Born in Bayshore, New York, Danny Carucci came to Choate as a fourth form boarding student in 1973. A conscientious and hard-working young man, Danny made an immediate impact on the Choate community by volunteering at the infirmary on Sundays as a nurse's aide. As a fifth former, he was awarded the James Elliott Oakes Prize for enthusiasm in his studies and extracurricular activities. That year, he also received an honorable mention for the Harvard Club Prize for scholarship, achievement, and contributions to the school. Former English teacher Burr Johnson said of this blossoming scholar, whose comments and insights were among the best in his class, "His fine sense of humor, pleasant smile, and perceptive comments are a joy for any teacher." His Choate dean and academic advisor, Ed Maddox, in the audience today, wrote, "Danny is quite simply one of the most positive contributing members of this school." Our honoree took advantage of everything Choate had to offer. As a member of the chemistry club and many years before the science research program, he undertook an independent senior project, an exhaustive microscopic examination of nearly 10,000 blood cells. His advisor, Choate's physician, Dr. William Norton, said of the ambitious scope of his project, "It was worthy of a first-year medical student or college biology master's degree candidate." He capped off his Choate career as co-winner of the Owen Morgan Prize for unselfish service to others. But perhaps there is no more glowing endorsement than that of his house advisor, former chaplain Mark Mullen, who in his farewell comments said, "Danny is the sort of person that I want my son to become." After Choate, he attended Washington and Lee, where he double majored in chemistry and interdepartmental math and natural sciences, and graduated Phi Beta Kappa. After earning his MD from the University of Virginia Medical School, he joined the Navy. Assigned to the Marines, he became a flight surgeon where his deployment took him to Panama, Honduras, Thailand, the Philippines, and Africa. After only 4 years in the Navy, he was selected as Naval Flight Surgeon of the Year in 1989. He pursued clinical research in tropical medicine in London, and then was assigned to the Naval Medical Research Center in Silver Spring, Maryland, where he became director of the malaria program. For the military, malaria represents a threat to sustained operations. In every military campaign fought this century where malaria was endemic, more man-days were lost due to malaria and to bullets. Beyond that, however, a malaria vaccine would have broad implications for the developing world and to those who suffer from malaria most, young children and pregnant women in sub-Saharan Africa. Dr. Carucci and his team spearheaded developments in molecular vaccine technologies and were instrumental in the completion of the Malaria Genome Project, which he says was his most rewarding tour of duty. For his work, Captain Carucci was awarded the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Award for Excellence in Military Medicine, and in 2003, the prestigious American Medical Association Dr. Nathan Davis Award for Outstanding Government Service. After leaving the Navy, Dr. Carucci became Vice President for Global Health at the United Nations Foundation. He led the Gates Foundation $200 million Grand Challenges in Global Health initiative, developing technological solutions to the world's most vexing global health problems. Now, as President of Global Health Consulting, he continues to consult with for-profit and non-profit organizations to improve the impact of global health investments. While the Navy gave Dr. Carucci incredible opportunities, he admits that attending Choate was a transformative experience. "I got the foundation of my education at Choate, as well as how I was formed as a person," he says. "We are in awe of your many accomplishments. So let me rephrase what was said some 36 years ago by Reverend Mullen. You are the sort of person that we want the sons and daughters of Choate Rosemary Hall to become. For your commitment to your school, service to your country, and your continual efforts to improve the health of the world's poor, we are proud to present the 2012 Choate Rosemary Hall Alumni Award to Dr. Daniel J. Carucci, class of 1976. Well,
hearing something like that and hearing your life encapsulated in 5 or 10 minutes is humbling in itself, and receiving this award is a humbling experience for me. I have to say your research is pretty good. I haven't thought about some of those things in 35 years, so I don't know. You must have some great records here. Because now we should be careful, because if they got those kinds of records, you want to make sure that you're keeping them straight and narrow. So the last time I was on this stage, I think I was Charlie Brown in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. And we spent a lot of time in this theater. Laura Thomas and Ned Goddard, who was Linus back then. So this is a great place, really fantastic. And I'm so, it's so warm to have such a huge proportion of the student body here. I can't imagine what they threatened you with if you didn't come. But I mean, we're an overflow crowd here, so this is really great. Okay, so Alex, Dr. Curtis, Mr. Lakin, students and faculty of Choate Rosemary Hall, thank you for this incredible honor. I'm very humbled to be standing here in front of you today, following so many incredibly accomplished and famous people who have preceded me in receiving this award. Let me first take a moment, though, to congratulate Victoria Nuland, who has the very difficult task of speaking for the U.S. State Department on critically important issues. And you know, I never realized that it was Victoria who was so articulately representing us in the media. So congratulations, Victoria. You know, all of you seated here today are being primed for great things, and you may not know it. You know, I certainly had no inkling of what the future would hold for me. But what I came to understand years after I left Choate is that there is very little that you can't accomplish when you seek out new opportunities, when you embrace change, when you strive for excellence, when you follow your passions, and very importantly, when you enjoy the journey of life. So for me, it's not, and it's never been about what you accomplish, but it's about whose lives you've bettered. It's about the opportunities you give others to shine. It's about the teams that you've brought together to solve difficult problems. And it's about tackling head-on difficult challenges that would result not in just an incremental change, but will result in a transformational change. So I came to Choate in 1974 as a fourth former, coming from mostly a public school education. Choate and Rosemary Hall were still separated back then. And I had the very fortunate chance of attending a small private country day school for the 8th and 9th grades. But within the first few months of being there, I realized that I might not have been quite as prepared academically as I needed to be. And it was a difficult time. And I almost didn't make it, which would have meant going back to my public high school. But I didn't quit. And by the time I graduated, I turned my academic career around, and I began to think about boarding school. And I put Choate at the top of my list. The tuition was going to be a difficult thing for my family, and so I ended up calling Laird Davis, who was the director of admissions at the time, and I asked if Choate would take a chance on me and consider giving me a scholarship to attend. So a couple days passed by, and I got a phone call, and he said yes, that Choate would be willing to give me a scholarship. That day, and that decision by Choate, seeing something in me, taking a chance on me, this mostly public school trained Italian kid, were two of the most pivotal in my life. Because it was from that moment that I began to see a world that would not otherwise have been available to me. It was a world where students from across the country and from across the world would live and learn together. It was a world where Chaucer's Canterbury Tales were spoken in this ancient language, Old English, that I would never have heard spoken. They still teach Canterbury Tales in Old English? Yeah, right? Wanha, Thapul, yeah. I remember some things about the ancient. We were required to put a jacket and tie on and go to dinner. I understand you don't do that anymore, right? Where I could spend a semester studying abroad in France. I think I was actually on the first class to go to Paris on the study abroad program. Learning about art, culture, history, We even lived above a barn, harvesting grapes in Burgundy, and all what else that entails. All immersed in the French language. We put on Broadway quality shows here. Well, they're almost Broadway quality. But, we then took them on the road, though. We went to from Canada all the way down to North Carolina, taking this show, Your Good Man, Charlie Brown, on the road, where I could do basic immunology research at a graduate student level at Yale New Haven Hospital as a mere senior in high school, and where I could be given responsibility of overseeing running the homestead, which I think now is a girls' dorm, with my house parents, Mark and Martha Jane Mullen, and my roommate, Evan Jordan, who's here. So, each of those experiences on their own is exciting, they're interesting, and perhaps they're life-changing. But for you to take advantage of all that Choate has to offer, to have the opportunity to experience all of those things together, provides you with a foundation at a very young age that separates you from all the rest. Now, of course, I didn't know any of this when I was at your stage in life, but reflecting back on these past 35 years, there are two things that I think have been a common thread in my life, and some of this may be a bit of heresy. The first is that I did not hold on too strongly to my goals. I always tried to be the best at whatever it was, but I never seemed to have held on too strongly to an idea of what my life would be, what I would be doing, or where I would live. I didn't create a presumed outcome for my life at this early age. The second is that when I was presented with an exciting new opportunity or challenge, my default position was just to say yes. Now, that doesn't mean I randomly grasped at every opportunity or I took unnecessary risks, but by mostly saying yes, I gave myself permission to take the time to evaluate each of those opportunities and make the best choice for me at that time in my life. Now, my reasoning for this, and I realize I might get in trouble for saying this, but is that if you hold on too firmly to a long-term goal at too young an age, you run the risk of being disappointed if you don't achieve it. Or if you do achieve it, you may find yourself adrift. And if your immediate position is to say no or to procrastinate, then you will often miss a chance to evaluate potentially life-changing opportunities. You run the risk of foregoing opportunities that might have enriched your life in ways that you would never know. Now, granted, this approach is not for everyone. It may run counter to much of what you've been told. But when I was thinking about what I would say to you today, I felt these were the two principles that I can say with confidence gave me life-changing opportunities to do things like study tropical medicine and go to jungle survival school in Panama, to work on classified operations with the Marine Corps in Central America, to rebuild a clinic in Central America, to fly fighter jets with the Marine Corps, to discover and characterize a new gene for malaria that's never been seen before, to lead the completion of the Malaria Genome Project, to run a next-generation malaria vaccine program, to lead a $200 million program funded by the Gates Foundation to develop new tools and technologies to save the lives of millions in the developing world, to work towards improving the impact of our billions of dollars of investments in global health, to find myself in Haiti 24 hours after the earthquake, providing assistance to the United Nations, to make a documentary film, and we won some awards on it too, by the way, and to work with people like my good friend Jane Goodall on conservation programs across Africa, and through engaging young people like yourselves to help people, animals, and the environment. Each of these experiences was the result of having sufficient flexibility in my life and actively embracing new opportunities. And if you had met me back when I was a student here at Choate and asked me what I would be doing in 30 years, I probably would have said that I was going to be a physician. So, I did have a life goal, and I achieved that. However, the journey along the way has been nothing but a remarkable, joyful, and wonderful blur. I feel so grateful, of course, for my loving family, and for the people at Choate, like Ed Maddox, for Mark and Martha Jane Mullen, who are here today, and so many others at Choate who took a chance on me and who continue to devote their lives to you. So for some of you, don't hold on too firmly to your goals. Embrace the concept of yes, and hopefully you will reflect on your accomplishments in life, the joy and prosperity that you've brought yourself and others, and the difference you made in the world.